Hello everyone, it's Maha. I hope you guys are all doing really well. Thank you so much for being here. I've decided to revisit Maha's picks this month for the month of June. So in case you're not familiar with this series, some time ago I did a series for 12 consecutive months where I picked one essential oil, one crystal, one tarot or oracle deck, which kind of resonated with the astrological zodiac sign we entered into that month, and its planetary or elemental associations, and then just the theme of the month that I felt kind of was surrounding me for that particular month. So this month, I've decided to focus on the sign of Cancer. We have entered into the sign of Cancer on June 21st, summer solstice, and the ruler of the sign being the moon is all about the emotions and nurturing, mothering. So the oil I've selected for this month is Roman chamomile. And as you'll see in a moment, its therapeutic properties really do resonate with the sign of Cancer. Roman chamomile is one of the most soothing and comforting essential oils there is in aromatherapy. It is also one of the safest to be used for children, although I always do caution and say that make sure you get authentic, genuine, really high quality essential oils if you're planning to use them for therapeutic purposes. Roman chamomile is also an anti-inflammatory. It relieves muscle tension and is really useful for relieving menstrual cramps. So one of my favorite blends that I like to use for menstrual cramps, because I get really awful ones, really difficult ones, is Roman chamomile, lavender, sweet marjoram, clary sage. Those two are also, clary and sweet marjoram, are really beneficial for the female organs in general. And rosemary, because rosemary is just a good oil for pain in general. And one that I like to use for muscle tension is Melissa. I love Melissa. Lavender, rosemary, black pepper, and Roman chamomile. Black pepper I also love. It's my signature oil for Sagittarius. And it's anti-inflammatory, relieves muscle tension. It is a really good oil to use for skincare. So if you're someone who has dry, sensitive skin, this is a really great essential oil for you. And it's also beneficial for skin allergies, such as eczema. Now, a lot of times, or I could even say all the time, allergies are caused or even worsened by stress. So the nice thing about using Roman chamomile is that not only does it relieve the actual symptoms, but it calms the mental and emotional bodies. So it works on both relaxing the central nervous system, which can alleviate the stress and can also prevent the allergy over time in the long run, and it helps the actual symptoms of the allergy. This is only for skin allergy I'm talking about, for eczema. If you're someone who has allergies, for example, hay fever and that type of allergies, another type of chamomile called Moroccan chamomile is better for that. But I'm not talking about that oil in this video. So a lot of the properties of Roman chamomile can actually be interchanged with lavender because they have similar properties. And so if you're someone who doesn't seem to gravitate towards the scent of lavender, you can interchange them. You can switch it up with Roman chamomile for the same therapeutic effects. And now for my oracle deck of this month, for the month of June. I have picked the Oracle of the Mermaids by Lucy Cavendish for you. And the artwork, which sadly is not put on the box at all. I don't like it when they don't put the artist's name on the cover. It is here at the back though, in small print. Selena Finech, published by Blue Angel. This is one of my favorite oracle decks that there is out there, but surprisingly there aren't too many of them. You would think there would be more considering how many people are obsessed with mermaids like I am. Yeah, there are a few out there. So this is one of my favorite ones. And I use this deck at night. This is my nighttime deck. I've talked in my other previous videos how I feel that certain decks like to work at certain times of the day for me or with me. And this one is definitely my night deck. This is a deck that I also use during full moon rituals. It's a deck that I sometimes go to when I'm feeling my own emotional weather is up and down, and I really feel that it's more more than being a deck I use for divination. It's a deck that I use for self-exploration and exploring my emotions. I find that mermaids are perfect for exploring the emotions. I mean, they are so intimately connected with the emotions as they live in the ocean, and they're in tune with the cycles of the moon. So I feel that the energies of this deck is also very nurturing, very calm and soothing. And right now, for this month, I'm really working with my emotions. I'm also reading a book that's called The Language of Emotions by Karla McLaren, which I'm going to put down in the description link for you if you're interested. It's a really fascinating book. It's really great for someone, for anyone who wants to get a more detailed explanation of what all emotions are there for, what their true purpose is, and what their lessons are. And it's a practical book. There are lots of exercises in the book, as opposed to just being written with like a psychological tone of voice. It's a very practical book as well. She is an empath, and she writes with a beautiful tone of voice. And what I love is how she talks about this model of the 4 elements and finding the 4 elements within each emotion. So that's a book that I highly recommend for you. I've been working with that book and this deck and really getting in touch with my emotions. So to begin with, what I love is just the back of the cards. I really love the back of the cards. I actually haven't trimmed any of my decks yet. And this is one that I've been thinking of trimming the borders of, but just because of the front, the actual cards, but I didn't want to because I love that border that's kind of like a seafoam green, aquamarine color. I don't know if you can see here. And it's the same as the inside of the box. That's one of my most favorite colors. I actually have the backing of one of the cards on my altar on the side where the element of water is for me, and it's just one of the tools I've put to represent water. One thing I really like about this deck is the guidebook. And the reason I love it is because I just love the way Lucy Cavendish writes. I love her voice. You can really tell she's coming from a place of love and kindness. And when I read her, it really makes me feel like I'm talking to an older sister. I feel really comforted and soothed. She speaks with a language that's very kind and welcoming, and I never feel that she puts herself above me or like pretends to be more enlightened or something else. She writes with a very humble tone of voice, and I love that. I just like her anyway as a person, and I really think that her voice speaks to us on a really emotional level as well, a comforting emotional level. I really like how the artwork is a mixture between hand-drawn classical drawing artwork and also some computer-generated images. I love this image. This is one of my favorite cards. I want to read you a little bit of her book at the end of the book, just at the end of the video, just so you get a sense of her language if you don't already know it. She writes that way in all of her books. All the other oracle decks I have of her, I also really enjoy reading, and I learn a lot from her. And I love this, by the way, this card mirror. I always loved how the water is a metaphor for a mirror serving as a reflection, reflecting and contemplating. Mirror, know thyself, self-examination, seeing who you really are. And so that's an example of maybe something in touched maybe over the computer, graphic art. And then there's this one that's looks like a watercolor hand-drawn. I'm going to switch the camera in a moment and show you some of my favorite cards. And I also really like the keywords in these cards. So instead of having like the typical keywords we get, like contemplation, balance, stillness, not that there's anything wrong with those, instead it's more creative. She has come up with more creative keywords. So before I get to showing you some of the cards, I wanted to talk a little bit about my crystal for this month, which is Larimar. And I only have this one piece here that I'm wearing. I'm going to show you a close-up of it in a moment. And Larimar is a great communication crystal. It's a throat chakra crystal, and it helps if you want to communicate with mermaids and dolphins. So that's one of the reasons I picked it. I thought it goes well with this deck. And also, the patterns in Larimar, it has this beautiful sky blue color mixed with these touches of white that create these patterns that to me really look like when light reflects on water. And I've told you guys before that if you watch my videos that I go swimming on a regular basis at the pool near my house. And I love swimming under the water. And sometimes when it's sunny, when the sun hits the surface of the water, underneath the water, those reflections, the play of light, really reminds me, it brings me into Larimar. I only have this piece, like I said. It's a more expensive crystal, but I'd like to invest in some more bigger pieces. And there's a card in here that, actually the back of the cards also, that really remind me of that play of light that I was talking about. So this card, which is one of my favorites, the crane bag. Do you see that surface on top? That's what I'm talking about, those reflections of light, which also is on the back of the cards. So I'm just going to switch the camera now and show you some of the cards. So before I go ahead and show you my favorite cards in this deck, I wanted to read you something from Wikipedia. And this is where Larimar gets its name from. I thought it was an interesting little fact. In 1974, Miguel Mendez and Peace Corporation volunteer Norman Rilling rediscovered Larimar on a beach. Natives, who believed the stone came from the sea, called the gem blue stone. And this was in Dominican Republic. Miguel took his young daughter's name Larissa and the Spanish word for sea, which is mar, and formed Larimar by the colors of the water of the Caribbean Sea where it was found. And the beautiful, soothing blue of Larimar really reminds me of the ocean. And even the backs of the gems, they have this transparent kind of beautiful blue, turquoise blue with this browny rock, other sediments which remind me of the sand and water combined. And then that pattern I was talking about, I'm going to show you guys a close-up in a photo. And the water reflection, the light reflecting on water, that's kind of what I was talking about. This is from the card called The Present, which is one of my favorite cards in this. So the keyword for this card is the present. And the message is gift, treasure, revelation of own value, nowness. And I really love what she says in the book about this card. We're going to look at that at the end of this video. I will come back to this card. The crane bag. Sacred oceanic medicine. Clutter, declutter, choice. And I love this image. I showed it to you before. How the light is reflecting on the surface of the water. Beautiful image. I like all the cards in this deck. There aren't any that I don't like. These are just some of my most favorite ones. This is a beautiful image. Sanctuary, privacy. In I can't see, inviolate personal space, respected boundaries, and taboos. Yamaya, I like that there are ocean goddesses also in this deck. Yamaya, grandmother, ocean, primordial. Transparency, I like this keyword very much. Honest, authentic, genuine, present. Experiments, there are darker cards in this deck as well, which I really like. Manipulation of nature, forcing change, cruelty in the pursuit of knowledge, arrogance. Time and tide, oceanic spells and rituals. I like what she says in the book about this card as well. She talks about the moon tides and the ocean tides and their connection. The Selkie and her skin. This is a card that's really come up for me many times. Reclaiming your authenticity. Air. Really beautiful, striking image actually. Breathing deep, entering into life, exchange of life-bringing energies. The mirror, know thyself, self-examination, seeing who you really are. I love this image. I love the flowers. They're magnolias or maybe lotus, pink lotus. Really bright. Honor the masculine. I like the fact that this deck is also really balanced with its male-female energies. This one says, respecting men, embracing the masculine divine. The unseen, another dark card, which I really like. Too much is hidden from you. Adrift. Beautiful, really relaxing image. She's just letting go, letting the flow of the ocean take her, and she's floating kind of weightlessly. Letting go, allowing a higher force to take charge for a time. Soul cage. I love the keyword for this one. Rescue, escape from captivity and restriction. This card kind of reminds me of the devil from tarot. And so there's the darkness underneath and then the light at the surface of the water carrying her up and out. Dreams, one of my favorite cards again, and look at the colors of this one. I love those sea urchins, kind of purpley violet. Vivid dreaming, dream messages, dream teaching. Now I want to go back to this card again and read you what she says in the book. So the book will give you a little image of each card, and then the keyword, the message of the card, and then about a paragraph, a large paragraph, called The Mermaids Sing. And here is where she gives you the message the mermaids have for you. And then you have reversed and a nice large paragraph of divination. So I'm going to read you what she says for this card called The Present. So here's a section. I'm going to read you the Mermaids Sing part. We have heard that in the warm semi-tropical waters of Australia's Moreton Bay, a group of marine biologists have recently recorded fascinating new interactions between dolphins and humans. The dolphins of this beautiful place have been, for over 10 years now, bringing gifts to the biologists, who in turn have fed them in a strictly regulated program. The dolphins have brought to the biologists eels, fish, shells, and pieces of treasure from the sea, refusing to take them back when they are offered to them in a moment of interspecies reciprocity, which is moving and beautiful, and pure communication of sharing and energy exchange. When this card comes to you, you are being shown how the energy is being exchanged in the present moment. Really beautiful. And then I won't read you the rest, but you get the idea. So I hope you enjoyed my Maha's picks for June. Thank you so much for joining me. And as always, I'm sending you many, many blessings, and I'll see you in the next videos. Take care. Bye.